Hello and good evening, gamers. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of friends with us today. Hargeet is back. Asante will be here momentarily. But of course, we have a guest tonight, and that comes in the form of Sir X-Men. We're going to get him in here in a hot second. But listen, folks, we're talking about the breaking news from yesterday. We got confirmation that Microsoft is bringing 4 monster-sized titles to their first direct of 2024. There's speculation on, is there going to be a shadow drop or not? Are we setting ourselves up for disappointment if they turns out not to be one? Obviously, one of the big surprises from yesterday, outside of the announcement of the event, the Power World is dropping into Xbox Game Pass day and date. And folks, that is Pokemon with guns. It's single player. It's up to 32 people on the server, up to 4 people playing co-op. And the game looks really, really good. And that is dropping, guess what? The day after. The following Friday, it'll be out for us to obviously download and digest. I'm definitely going to play it. Now, I'm not a big Pokemon guy, right? I love Pikachu and I like some of the characters, but you put guns with Pokemon and you get graphics that look that good and it's open world. I don't know, man. I think that is going to be one of the bigger surprises of the year. And guess what? It's in Xbox Game Pass day and date. So we're going to be breaking that down, and we're going to have this conversation because, first of all, the rumors are swirling, folks. Indiana Jones in 2024. It's a lot further along than anyone could have guessed. And whoa, the question that we're going to be asking is this cinematic experience going to be done in the traditional first person way by Machine Games that they're known for? Or is Todd Howard, who is directing this game, going to put his magical touch, pause, on this game and make it a cinematic type of experience, kind of a la hashtag just one cognito Iron Lords? I don't know. We're going to get into it, but let's get into the introductions first, and then we will break down what happened yesterday. First, we'll start with our special guest, Sir X-Men, all the way from Chi-Town, which, of course, Mrs. Boom and I are jealous. You guys are going to get dumped with snow. We got washed out here. It was flash flooding. It was disappointing. Winter sucks here in New Rochelle. How you feeling, Sir X-Man?
Bring on the snow, bring on the ice, bring on the hold your balance so you don't fall on the ice and land on your patuta. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Hit that like and share. Let's go, because it's going to get a little messy. But it's going to be some good stuff within this messy. Let's go.
Yeah, we absolutely are. And of course, folks, the footage that you're seeing is Terminator Resistance. This is the first piece of DLC. I've beaten the game. It's actually my first game that I beat this year. It's the second time I'm beating it because there was like a Game of the Year edition that I bought for like $11, and I was able to play through it again and get all those achievements, and it was great. Again, this is one of those games. If you are a Terminator fan, you must get this game. Wait for it to be dirt cheap. It's fine. The graphics, sometimes they impress, sometimes they don't, but it's by the same team, folks. If you did not know this, that made RoboCop in Unreal Engine 5. Same exact team. And I got to tell you, folks, and I'm throwing this out there to the ether. Where are my gray beards? Raise your hands, because I think everybody on here has a gray beard. If you remember back in the days,
I can't raise my hand. Sorry.
That's all right. Back in the days, there was a Super Nintendo game called RoboCop versus Terminator, and it came in this dope ass plastic box that was black, and it had the RoboCop symbol and the Terminator symbol versus. I'm hoping that at some point, because they have both licenses, they turn around and they do a versus, that would be incredibly dope. But Pargi Chani, who, by the way, was a man unhinged on Monday, and we loved every second of it. Hargeet is back. It's Wednesday. It's primetime gaming, and we got the greatest news that we have. Actually, we got news that we didn't even expect. Like, remember the leak from the week before? Totally 4 different games. Even though Avowed was there, even though, of course, Hellblade we expected to be there. The big surprise. Holy cow, Indiana Jones. My God. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean, I've already put it out as the Xbox and PlayStation developer draft.
I love it. Look. He added the PlayStation logo just to get a little messy.
So yeah, Indiana Jones being further along. I mean, I was expecting that to kind of be like a TGA's thing. I was just thinking, hey, get as many eyeballs on it as you can. Interesting, they didn't actually pull the trigger since they're ready to go with it at the last TGA's then. But okay, fair enough. Let's see what they do with this, right? But yeah, it's ready to go. It was sort of due, right? They're kind of due for the next game. So it was sort of due. It was just a question of when. I just figured they would wait till the end of the year to show it at the Game Awards. But hey, it's coming up right now. And I think they're saying it's 2024. We've seen Avowed apparently is also dated for 2024.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, we're getting some games. There's still South of Midnight, which could potentially be coming this year, and Clockwork Revolution. And if you start looking at all the games that are like sort of lining up to come out this year, it's crazy. PlayStation's gonna be eating good. Oh, I'm sorry.
Xbox is gonna be eating good. That's right. I love it. The messiness is already. It's getting the water is getting. Pardon me with my unprofessionalism. That is my phone.
And I haven't even started yet, bro.
Yeah, well, don't worry, brother. We're gonna bring you in a hot second. But Kayasante looking very prim, very proper, sir. How I heard your day was as bad as mine. It just was one of those days. Is it a full moon, folks? Where you are? Is it a full moon? Because it currently feels like it for sure.
Yeah, I've been running a mile a minute all day, but I'm happy to be here. Apologies, I'm just a little bit tardy, but hey, had to come in hot, brother. As they say. I am here. Work has been killing me, but it's all good. I'm here to hang out with the brothers and talk some games. I hear there's some news afoot. I saw Hargeet swearing on live internet yesterday. I was like, what happened to this man? We need to have a conversation. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you here. And obviously, look, we're gonna get right into it. And we're gonna go right back to Hargeet on this. Hargeet, this is the way you start a year. Now, obviously, a lot of us were very disappointed with some of the news that came out from, quote unquote, leakers or insiders. But I think that, even with that news and even in the hubbub that it was, I think that you look at how they started 2023, right? And if we're keeping score, if we're gonna keep score, Xbox in 2023 outdid PlayStation 6-1. It's not even close, right? Spider-Man 2, good game, sure, but it was one game, right? Yep. Now, again, you're going to get some people to tell you, well, boom, Final Fantasy 16 was a good game. That should count because it's an exclusive. And we're talking about first party, folks. You however you want to yuck the yum, it was first party versus first party, and Sony lost. And it looks like they're going to lose again. Now, granted, Helldivers is getting some mixed reviews. I saw something from Jez Corden who said that it looks dope, which I hope that it is, because obviously it's a multiplayer game and Sony needs those. But we don't know anything else that they're doing for themselves. We do have this in front of us, and this is a really big deal because when you look at some of the things, like I said, if we're going by Sony logic, right? Xbox has a lot of things coming to Xbox Game Pass that, of course, are going to be exclusive. Stalker 2 being one of them. That's a big one. That's Unreal Engine 5. That game got a graphical upgrade. It looks amazing. That game is going to slap when it comes out. And there's quite a few other ones. But keeping with the first party, like you said in your opening, we're hearing some things about Clockwork. We're hearing some things about South of Midnight. We know that there's the 33 Immortals. We know that there is Towerborn. There's Aura, which of course is going to be one of the games that are featured. If all 4 of these games were to hit in a year, I think they would be big. Now, granted, Aura's not my type of game, but I know a lot of people are really excited for this.
Yeah,
Very excited for this.
The last trailer actually got me interested. I'm interested in what they're doing with it. So why not? Hey, it'll be in Game Pass.
Again, you can download it if you like it, you keep playing with it. If you don't like it, it's fine. But I'm going to say this: this is great news. A big surprise with Indiana Jones. Let's get your initial impression of these 4 games, and there might be more, right? Like we don't know if there's going to be a surprise on the back end, right? Because Hi-Fi Rush was a big surprise, and maybe we get another surprise drop here. Now, the rumor is Double Fine's game, right? That game has been in development since 2017. We are now into 2024. It's been a minute, and it would be a big deal because, well, it's an Xbox exclusive.
Well, so Psychonauts 2 was 2021, was it not?
Was it 2021 or 2020?
I think it's
I gotta look.
2021 because that was the year they released a whole bunch of games, and I think Psychonauts 2 was in that mix, right? So I think Psychonauts 2 was 2021. So that was their last game.
Yes, yeah, it was.
But this game started a while ago.
August 25th, 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Kiln started a while ago, and they kind of paused it because they needed to get Psychonauts 2 done.
Right.
And I don't know how long it takes. And I heard there's multiple teams working on multiple games at even the small studio Double Fine.
Yes.
So this could just be a smaller team working on Kiln, and they might have another bigger game coming up later. So it is possible that is ready to go. And look, I think I said this before is they have so many teams now that they really could. And I think Kay, you were saying we shouldn't get used to it, right? That if they set this pattern, then people will just expect it. But they do have enough teams that they could actually do a shadow drop.
Oh, they could. I just think they don't want to set themselves up for failure, as you and I both know.
Yeah.
Keep it fresh.
The thud that always seems to come, right?
Yeah.
But, if they want to keep up with that pattern, they could. And why not, right? It doesn't also need to be a full game. It could be a DLC, a massive thing that, DLC that comes out or something like that, right? An expansion of some sort. That's cool, too. Out of nowhere, if they do the certain affinity Halo thing, for instance, that would be huge, right? But I don't know if they're ready with that. I have no idea where they are with that, right? So, but again, it could be a surprise thing like that. Why not, right? But if Kiln is coming, great. If it's something else, great. I hope they do have a surprise, though. And there's 5 things because after this, there's an Elder Scrolls Online update as well, right? So
yes, there is. Yes.
So we have 5 at least confirmed, and then potentially a 6 that hopefully is a shadow drop of some sort. Maybe there's more too. I don't know, but we'll see. Because I think Stalker 2 is kind of in that imminent, time frame thing. So I don't know if they're going to have something else in between to kind of tell us when that's coming out. So you'd be kind of, it'd be kind of interesting to see it here. And maybe it is a surprise that they're just going to throw it in. Hey, by the Stalker 2 is coming out tomorrow or something like that, right? That could be another potential thing. But no, I'm hoping they have a first party surprise of some sort. And it'll be something, but Indiana Jones was kind of interesting to see come up in this. You would think that is a big enough title that you'd want the massive eyeballs from the Game Awards, but I guess not. I guess they thought, hey, we could just do it in our developer direct and get the buzz there. It's an interesting choice. We'll see if it works. This has kind of been their hit or miss with marketing things appropriately. This is an interesting time to put it out in this when it's just going to be Xbox fans seeing it. When you really want to show it in some neutral place where people who don't come to Xbox normally would say, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's only on Xbox. Well, I might want to play that. Are there other things there too? What's this Game Pass thing? Right. So, that's what you kind of want to do. Right. But all right, well, we'll see how it goes because Avowed is a no-name thing. Nobody knows what that is. Starfield technically is also a no-name thing, but you would have hoped that would have created enough buzz. right? Hellblade, it's pretty small. Ara is not going to move the needle, right? But Indiana Jones is kind of well known. It's kind of well known, right?
Yeah.
There was a movie that just came out, so you'd think, you'd want to kind of attach yourself to that. But
well, you know what's interesting, Hargeet? I went back 11 months ago and I pulled up the developer direct from 2023. And what's interesting is that even though it may not be the largest number, nearly 2 million people watch this on YouTube. And that's and mind you, that is the Xbox version. I'm going to see Bethesda and see what comes up. But even though, like I said, me personally, I'm actually glad they did what they did at the Game Awards, because I kind of feel that, and this isn't really like a dig at Jeff Keighley. We know he's a Sony guy. We know that he puts Sony in the best light possible. He's consistently done it. As someone that's supposed to be a steward of the community, he likes what he likes, and unfortunately, instead of liking what he likes behind the scenes, he puts it on Front Street, and that's why he gets a lot of criticism. And he gets a lot of criticism from me for doing that, because there's a way to. Now you might say, well, Boom, you always put Xbox on Front Street, and then you diss Sony. When the smoke needs to be aired out, they get the smoke, even if it's Xbox. And I also I'm not the producer of a $1 million conglomerate company like the Game Awards. I have a podcast in the corner of my apartment, so I don't know if I'm held to the same standards. But to be fair, I actually am happy that Xbox is showing it on their own way, on their own stage, because they have control of this. Now we have learned that we're going to get 10 minutes of gameplay, and that's pretty big for a game that we had no idea what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to do both, right? To have like a 30-second, 1-minute trailer teaser at the Game Awards and find out more at the beginning next year, right? Or something like that. Because that way you can kind of get the you're not going to get 10 minutes, right? They got 8 minutes or whatever of Kojima, which was fantastically long, and that's fine, but that's Kojima, right? So, but I don't think you were going to get 10 minutes for Indiana Jones, right? But at least like a minute or two to showcase, hey, this is something that's coming, and then see more at the dev direct or something like that. Look, Keighley, yeah, he has you have to understand, when Keighley started this thing, Sony was the one that a lot, kind of helped him make it happen. So he's always going to have a little bit of affinity for that, right? I can't blame him for that. He tries to be neutral, but it is tough to do. Obviously, we all have biases. That's just the way it is, right? So, but he's going to become more and more an Xbox person. You know why? There's no choice. There's just no choice, right? The number of studios they have, the number of games they have, the stuff that's going to keep coming out. There's just no way around it now. You just have to give it to them, and he's going to have to contend with, like, a Blade. Would you not want that on your stage? You want that, of course you do. He's gonna want these. He's gonna want these announcements. It's just the way it is. And Xbox is going to generate so much buzz with just the games that there's just no way around it anymore. So you can't knock the biggest publisher. It's just not an option if that's your arena, right? It's just not going to be a thing they can do. So he's going to become an Xbox. It just is what it is. So I like, yes, he probably has a little bit of tinge towards one side, but I would just hold on to that, and in a couple of years you'll see he'll be a lot more leaning towards both or whatever, right? He'll be more fair. I don't think it's going to be as bad. But either way, finding out that Indiana Jones is coming in the developer direct, I don't think any one of us thought that would happen.
No,
right? So
you could give me 10 guesses, and I don't think I would have picked that.
Right? I mean, you would have thought any other type of game. It's like this. No, you want this on many, many eyeballs, right? Like 120 million people watched the TGAs. That's where you. Wow. So they're going to do it here. Okay. It's interesting. It's a bold move. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. I just hope it's going to hit enough people. We'll see if it boosts, right, the viewership of this, or maybe that segment. is viewed by many people, right? Because it's Indiana Jones. We'll also see if it gets co-marketed by Disney, right? Because it is a Disney
Interesting.
property.
That's a thought.
So
Yeah.
right. So they may push it. They probably want to push it, right? So, just get anything.
Well, I mean,
Disney's
obviously,
kind
it's
of
gonna. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna bring some interest, obviously, to the film that didn't do so well in the box office, right?
Is that already on Blu-ray?
I don't know. I know it's on Disney Plus. My wife and I watched it.
I think
It was
it's already on
okay.
Blu-ray.
I liked it because I'm an Indiana Jones fan, but it was,
I fell asleep on it, Boom.
Okay. There you go. There you go. Listen,
boy.
we'll come back to you in a second, Harky, because we have a lot to cover about this, and then we're going to get into obviously expectations of what happens for the remainder of the year, because this is not going to be the only developer direct. It is not. Especially when they have a lot of titles coming out that we expect. I would imagine they're going to have something potentially, because again, they did technically have 2 last year, right? We had one in January and we had one in June because there was the Starfield developer direct, right? So they did technically have 2. I think what we're going to start seeing, and I want to bring in Sir X-Men on this. Sir X-Men, there is, let's get your initial take of the 4 games they're going to be showing. Obviously,
and just to mention, they mentioned this, by the way. This does not include ABK yet.
It does not.
Still have all of that to come.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull up the press release. I'll read the press release. It specifically says you're going to hear from Activision at a later date, which suggests there's going to be another event that's just Activision related, which is very interesting. But Sir X-Men, the big announcement from yesterday shocked everybody. I mean, we all kind of knew that some sort of announcement was on the way. We just didn't know when, because the original leak was the 25th. This turned out to be a week earlier, which is the 18th, which is great. And obviously, like I said,
Aaron came out and corrected it, right?
He did. I don't think he corrected it. I just think that when the news came out, he just put it out there on Front Street that it was the 18th. Now the 25th, no one from Microsoft commented on that. I don't think they could have, because it was just a rumor.
It was a speculative date that people were hunting at.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
People, let's get down to the nitty gritty. What this actually seriously is. If Microsoft comes out with this many amount of games as a single publisher from Xbox with all these companies that they have now, this could almost be the biggest games drop from a single developer in history, in gaming history, with no third party. I don't think that has ever happened since, I guess, around maybe the PlayStation 1. That would put Microsoft on the map. You have to think about this. And Hargy, to your thing, when they have the Game Awards next year, they'll have to announce the 2025 games that are coming out. So Jeff Keighley will be late to the party. But this could really throw Microsoft in a big jump towards the holiday season. Because I'm sorry, people are gonna be like, well, what did PlayStation give us this year, this holiday? Oh, they just brought out a PS5 Pro. What?
And
no
even
games?
that's not confirmed. I mean, that's also rumor. I mean, do they do a Pro after just doing a Slim? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm just going on speculation because it's so Sony to do something like that. But no, actually they did the Pro and the Slim in the same year when they did the PS4. Both of them came out the same year. But if you don't have no first party games, and like we say, first party games make everything, even though certain people are crying, well, we got these other games too. Yeah, but they're third party. They could put themselves on a map that we have never seen, everyone. And
this could be one of the best years I think they've had. They might have had ever as a platform. Yeah,
any console has ever had. Boom, any console. That many games that are made by your own people that you own, that develop the games for you, I don't think there has never been anything this big. That's the biggest thing. Now, as far as Indiana Jones, bring it. Bring your own Tomb Raider to the game. Let me throw a whip and cross across a doggone cavern somewhere. Let me whip somebody, tie him up, and then throw him off of legs to an oblivion pit that doesn't have an ending. You know what I'm saying? Let me jump in between boulders. Let me go search and figure out puzzles like Tomb Raider does. You know, let me climb things, like Indiana does. That, ooh, what's that? And then you see something coming at you because there is some mysterious things in an Indiana Jones game.
Of course.
There's a lot of mystical in there. So something coming down at you when you're going up a cliff and you be like, oh my God. They're like, I left my gun. And tell his buddy, please throw me my gun because you got his little sidekick happened to be with him at the time. He always had a sidekick with him. So you never know. You might have him following like the boy in God of War every now and then on certain parts of the mission. Indiana can drive. Indiana can fly. I mean, it's open.
He is the OG. I mean, obviously, that kind of ideology of Indiana Jones and the Temple,
the Temple of Doom.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where you get. Obviously, that is where Tomb Raider comes from. That is, I mean, it is certainly. It's
also where Uncharted comes from.
Exactly. It's depicted very heavily in Uncharted, specifically Uncharted. Yeah.
But remember, everything comes from Pitfall.
Yeah, Pitfall has. That's the real OG right there. And you know what? That IP is now owned by Xbox.
Microsoft, baby. But as far as that Pokemon one that you mentioned with guns,
World.
Man, I've been dreaming for a game like that. That's gonna be sick. And all I'm gonna be saying is I gotta catch them all. And I gotta shoot them all at the same time. Let's go.
Well, I mean, listen, it's Pokemon with guns, and it looks really good. Like, it looks honestly like a solid game. I saw some people talking in the community, like, that technically is a great drop. It'd have been great for it to be announced there, right, and not before. But it's fine. It's just
but they gave us something, and it's free for us.
Well, technically, yes. Again, people are going to fight you on that. Like, it's not free. You're paying a service. Stop saying it's free.
But other people, it's not in their service. It's not in these other people's services. They have to pay for it. We don't.
That is absolutely correct. Listen, before we bring Kay Asante in on the conversation, I want to thank a couple of people in that channel member who's for 31 months, Bunty. What's going on, brother? How you feeling? He says, Wagwan, everyone at work chilling. Let's have a great show and hit that like button. Brother, thank you so much for supporting the channel as long as you have. And more importantly, thank you for, being here and shouting us out. Highlander 001, my goodness, he does it again. Choo choo, mother, father, sister, brother, because I can't say what Pong Soul says on this show. He has gifted another 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Gee whiz, dude. I don't even know what to say. That is crazy. Generosity is off the charts. And you know why? And I kind of feel bad. I'm going to have to talk to his wife. He wants to buy a tank so he can roll over her Prius, and she says no dice. So he's like, well, if I can't buy a tank, I'm going to be gifting all these subscriptions for BoomStick. And yes, he has been doing it. So thank you so much for that. We have a good friend of the show, Alvin. Pong really does that good. He drops, folks, a very generous $5 super chat and says, thanks for the pick-me-up, Boom. Just spent 7 hours, man, dude, chopping wood and moving logs from a tree fall from last night's storm. I need this podcast's energy, LOL. And we're here to bring the energy for sure. And of course, thanks for the work that you're doing. Hopefully that tree didn't hit a house, because we had a lot of trees down here in New Rochelle. And that's the scary thing about living here, is that there is a lot of trees and there's a lot of grass, and the grass is super soaked. So, and these trees are old. So if they hit you and you're dead, which is I'm always worried about, especially in this area. We have Dead Planet. Welcome to the program, brother, and thank you for the outstanding $5 super chat. And he says this, kind of funny, was out here yesterday saying, could Indiana Jones and Avowed eventually release this year. Can these shows get with the program? I mean, look, I'm not going to apologize for that kind of shenanigans. I like Greg Miller. I like Greg Miller a little bit less after what happened with Insomniac because I kind of felt he didn't do his job as a media personality. He's the media. He if he says he's not, then he's looking at it in the wrong way. He came from IGN. He started his company, which I have supported for years, and I will continue to support. I really do like Greg Miller. He doesn't know who I am, and that's perfectly fine. A lot of people are on, lukewarm about Blessing. I kind of like that kid. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't agree with some of their takes, and that's life. Not everyone is going to agree, but yeah.
Can I have 5 seconds on that real quick, Boom? As long as they're talking about Xbox things and not PlayStation things, that's all that matters. I'm done.
No,
I'll add to that.
Please,
just keep expecting more and more of this because that's what they're going to keep saying. Could they actually release that too? They're going to release that too.
Yeah,
they're going to release that too. Yep, that's what's going to happen.
I'm sure there's going to be a media conversation of. Get ready, folks. Get ready.
Yep.
Xbox is releasing too many games. Gamers mad. Well,
Xbox
has no games. Xbox has too many games.
And that answers my first argument earlier about biggest game release in all year ever.
I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time. But KSante, let's
well, hold on. They did theirs. I got to do mine. Please, Xbox is releasing a lot of games, and it's great for PlayStation.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I had to do that one. Forgive me.
Oh, my goodness. Not you too, KSante. I can't
believe you know what? KSante, you should put a banner up that says that and then put an X on the PlayStation logo, dude. That would be sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully, again, we can have fun with it. Look, KSante, this is a really big deal. This is what Xbox fans were hoping for. Xbox delivered. They have been recently walking silently and carrying a big stick, right? There's no doubt about it. No one saw Indiana Jones coming, for sure. We talk pretty much every day, and we have had this conversation, folks, that there's no way Indiana Jones is this year, right? Like, really? And we heard today, and I think this is not just what we heard, that it is very far along. Like, it's close. Now, how close? Yep. Is it a shadow drop close? I don't think so. I'm going to be honest with you. From what I heard, I don't think that is the case. I don't think next Thursday, we get a shadow drop for Hellblade. I don't think we get a shadow drop for Avowed. I don't think we get a shadow drop for any of those titles. I think that if there's going to be something, then it's going to be something different. But okay, let's get to this announcement, because these 4 games, even though in regards to scope of I'd like to believe they're all AAA, because again, you people are going to fight me on this. Aura, again, does not appeal for me, but there are people that are over the moon over this game. It looks quality as H, right? Like super well done. I mean, these are 4 games, man, and every one of them are supposedly this year. That is a really big deal.
It is indeed a big deal. So I am not surprised that we're seeing Indiana Jones possibly this year, because think about it. When was the last Wolfenstein game released? And I'm not talking about the one with the twins, because that was in partnership with another studio.
That was outsourced.
2017. October 27th, 2017. That's 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
They were due, right? Even with the pandemic, they were
definitely due. 100% due. What upsets me, and this is where people going to throw tomatoes at me.
The virtual tomatoes?
Get the virtual tomatoes. They're right here. Throw them at me. I kind of wanted to see Wolfenstein 3. Like, by the time we get Wolfenstein 3 at this point, people will have forgotten the story. Then you're gonna have to remake it because it's like,
I mean, they could do a recap. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could do like a recap. Hey, this is a Halo worthy like cliffhanger
where they're gonna continue with it like in 10 years from now. But no. Long story, needless to say, I was expecting them to at least show their face, talk about what they're doing. You know, hopefully, right? We see something soon. You know, the fact that Indiana Jones is here now and we're gonna see it, super exciting. Shout out to the man J Mac for this magical AI creation. Anyway,
that's great, dude. That's great. Yes. I love it. I love it.
So I'm excited. You know, I want to see them modernize that formula. Obviously, Indiana Jones is an old IP, but also a new IP because there's no actual game in that IP franchise that people can point to unless you're talking Lego, right? That's the only one you can really point to. You know. Now I will put back on the hard geek on one thing though. You were saying something to the effect of, you know, why they didn't release it. Why they didn't potentially bring the news out at the Game Awards versus this show, right? Because of that. My pushback to that is Indiana Jones that big an IP though, sir? They had 3 amazing movies. The rest shall not be spoken of. Right.
Yeah.
And more recently, the worst thing about the rest shall not be spoken of is the most recent one falls right in line with the last one, which kind of sours the legacy of the IP more than anything else. You know what I mean? So it's might be a good idea that they separate themselves.
But how many people watched it?
No, I understand. No, 100%.
Right.
There are eyeballs there.
If you're gonna try to associate with it, right? You could easily say that for Star Wars, right? I've sworn off of Star Wars, right? So you could easily say that for Star Wars.
Well, see now, Star Wars is where I push back on you and say that would be worthy of a big eyeballs. Because even though the Star Wars IP on the movies and shows are not great, the last game was excellent and everybody loved it. So the next game will be just as beloved, right?
But why not put it on a big stage then? Do you see what I mean? So if you're going to announce a Star Wars game, like if there's rumors of a Mando, right? That technically they're working on. Would you not want to put that at the TGAs? Would you not want to say, boom, here we go? So my point on that is I agree more with Boom on this, where if you get to that big a publishing, like if you are that big, the 10-pound gorilla in the room, you got COD, you got all these other things, you should grow to a point where you don't need any one show. And how do you do that? Start establishing your own shows, right? They should not need any one show. Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto needs no one show, but that's because it's Rockstar. Come on.
Of course,
yeah, it's Rockstar.
But no. But hear me. I say the power of that Grand Theft Auto IP is as powerful as the power of the franchise that is Microsoft's library at this point. They could be just as
potentially, but we're not there yet.
But that's why you got to start it, right? You got to put your shoes on if you're going to walk and run eventually, right? You got to do it. That's what they're doing.
They're certainly agreeing with you, right?
You know, yes.
But I would suggest that
they got to shake loose some of those things. You know,
they're still in a position where the majority of the gaming world still respects PlayStation and Nintendo more.
Oh, 100%.
That's 100%. Just the way
that is true,
right?
That is true.
And
that is true.
That's where you are. You have to sort of push yourself to that point, right? To say Xbox has awesome games, right? And once you get to that point, I agree with you. Because at that point, people will come to the Xbox showcase just because they're like, holy crap, they have all this stuff.
See,
right? This year we'll start cementing that just with the sheer number of games.
I hear you on that.
That's what I would think they need to do.
But I think that some among their ilk, and I don't know that I disagree necessarily with this notion. Some among their ilk are thinking that the actual content will never traverse the divide. It doesn't matter what content. They will always continue. That is the thought process. What can we do? Even if we were to release Spider-Man and God of War, you will look at it differently than the Spider-Man and God of War that you look at. right? And because they think that way,
I think
they are
some people
tired
might,
of
but
trying.
do you think like at the Game Awards this year that people didn't see Xbox as kind of winning that show?
Oh no, of course,
I think they did.
because at the end of the day, at that point, there was no choice in the matter, right? Doesn't necessarily mean they got any lip service to that, right? They won the whole thing and thanked and showed appreciation to everyone except for President Bond, who was sitting in the crowd.
Yeah.
So that happened, right?
That
I'm just saying
happen, so,
that happened.
yeah.
So let's just say, I just say, I hope that I'm right.
But
because if I'm not right, that'll be unfortunate.
Like the cherry on top, you get the Kojima game, you get Hellblade, you get Blade.
Sure.
Indiana Jones.
And then you show Indiana Jones. Yes, absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
It just cements you in like, dude, we just bought ABK. We haven't even started to talk about that. Right?
Let's see how many people watch the show. Like Boom said, last year, what was it? 2 million people?
We'll see what happens. Right?
Maybe this year it'll be 2.5.
I agree.
It's weird because on the Xbox channel, okay, so there were a couple of channels that had it, and one had 3.3 million, and the other one had 1.9 million, and I think Bethesda was also in the millions. So I mean, I know there's separate YouTube channels that are doing their
but
own
they still aggregate and count them together. So it could be a bigger number than we see.
They're also co-streams like IGN or whatever, right? There's gonna be others that it probably added up to like 20 million streams or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised
in comparison to 120. I'm just saying, it's a factor larger.
But you know what? But and Hargeet, this is why I really love your takes, because you always err on the side of not necessarily hope, but you always look at the bright side and the potential workaround, right? As we engineers do. It is what it is. I understand that, right? But but I got to tell you, like for example, like you were saying something to the effect of, at some point Keighley will have to kind of move a little bit because of where the positions is. Look, man, like I don't know if Keighley is where he is because of who PlayStation is, but we all know. Oh, I'm sorry, what's going on?
We got some breaking news here. I got 11 DMs.
Oh, let me guess that you know the name of Indiana Jones?
Yeah, it's the name has leaked. Apparently, it's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
And the Great Circle, yes.
Yep. That is the name.
And someone caught it, found it fair and square. He's absolutely right.
Can you make fun of that title? The Great Circle JEI. I'll just leave it at that.
That sounds like that means sequels to me.
Hey man, actually, it sounds like the Gaming Circle podcast to me. It's a beautiful thing. Let's go.
Well, I can see Saturday's very, very special font that looks like Indiana Jones being the Gaming Circle podcast. There you go. Please take advantage of that. As a matter of fact,
I will.
The story that I have in front of me, gentlemen, comes the way of Tom Warren of The Verge. And apparently how this thing leaked wasn't because of Microsoft, surprisingly, because, they have been a leaky ship. How it actually leaked was Lucasfilm has registered a bunch of Indiana Jones domain names.
And I tell you, Disney will probably co-market.
And Kurakais is the one on Twitter that spotted the game, and it could, with in parentheses, could be called Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And this is coming the way of TheVerge.com and our very good friend Tom Henderson. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom Henderson. That's the other guy, Tom Warren. I'm sorry, Tom. But yeah, I mean, so that's there you go.
So I'll finish up real quick, but I will say just to button up the point on the Keighley will change his Notion thing. I don't know, man. Unless they affect his wallet somehow, unless there's a no soup for you thing going on. No, they didn't. They just keep giving him more, even though he's not necessarily going their way. If they deny him when they have so much, then maybe he starts respecting a little bit more. That might be what's happening here.
We'll see.
This is why Indy didn't show up on his stage. You know
I think
what I'm
he's
saying?
going to become more neutral. And look, Nintendo is always still going to be there, right? And we
Sure, of
always
course,
kind of ignore that the industry
Absolutely.
giant that is Nintendo is
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah, they got to play a little hardball in my estimation. I think they need to play a little hardball.
Like I said, I like what they did
Yeah.
with the Game Awards. I think there's no other way to. There's not even a suggestion that they didn't win, quote unquote, the Game Awards because of what they showed versus what everyone else showed. I there's no doubt about it. And of course, the weight of what they showed was a big deal. Obviously, Blade was a monster.
Like, because look, he's gonna want to have a reason for people to tune in, and just face the music. It is what it is. Xbox is gonna have big announcements. That's what's gonna happen, right? Sony might have an announcement or two, and they did. They had the free DLC, which mind-boggling. The words "free" and DLC came together with PlayStation, right? It's just a big deal, and it was apparently a really good DLC, right? But it was way overshadowed by what Xbox did, and that's just going to keep happening. And he needs people to come to the show, right? So it is what it is. However you look at it, I think it's going to just become a bit more fair because he wants the content, and they're going to have content. That's it. Xbox is going to have content. There's no way out of it. They just have all the games.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, I think this is exciting news. I think the games come and look super great. My secret, what I want them to show us indie. I want indie to look great and then go, oh, by the way, there are multiple teams here. So here's a sneak peek at Wolfenstein 3. That would make me happy.
Yeah,
that would make me very happy because that's all I want.
So let's get some context in here, right? Because we're talking Indiana Jones, and guys and gals, we're going to get into the big question of the evening, and I'll get to that in a second. First, I want to go to the press release from XboxWire.com. And of course, if you didn't read this, and you probably should because it was actually well written, it was by Joe Skerbels. He is the editor-in-chief. This was published, obviously, yesterday, January 9th, 2024. And here is the synopsis of Indiana Jones. It says this, folks. Machine Games, the award-winning studio behind the recent Wolfenstein series, will reveal their upcoming Indiana Jones game, an action-adventure that puts players in the leather jacket of the legendary archaeologists. The developer direct will showcase more than 10 minutes of the game with developer insights, including details about the game's setting and story, how fans will actually play as Indy, additional details from his next globe-trotting adventure, and the premiere of the first gameplay trailer. So this is big. This is like we're finally going to see whether or not it's third person, whether it's first person. And is it a foregone conclusion that it's going to be first or third? Because they could surprise you, just like
Arcane has, right? Arcane has surprised everybody with, "Hey, we go in another way." Why not these guys?
Well, here's an interesting story. Now, I went back, and there's been quite a few stories. I decided to pull it from GameRanks.com, and the title says this, gentlemen. Todd Howard describes Indiana Jones, the game, as a definitive love letter to fans. And this is what it says. Speaking on the Lex Friedman podcast, the video game designer / director and producer at Bethesda Game Studios, Todd Howard, noted that creating an Indiana Jones video game was one of the many projects on his bucket list. He had originally pitched this idea to LucasArts back in 2009, but due to a number of reasons, this never came to fruition. However, with the ownership of the Indiana Jones IP now in the hands of Disney, Todd Howard and Machine Games have been given the go-ahead. And if there's one thing that I can say with Todd Howard, especially like if you've ever seen like when he's being interviewed and you look behind him, he has a shelf of actual movie props. Like he is a die-hard fan, which is why he is directing this game. It goes on to say in the article, Howard described Machine Games as the quote-unquote perfect fit to tackle the Indiana Jones project and stated that we're doing an incredible job when it came to the game's development. And it goes on to say, speaking further on the game itself, Howard said the game wasn't just one thing. When asked if the title was a particular leaning when it came to an action adventure, instead, the game is a mashup of ideas that the studio had wanted to explore for years. Ultimately, he described Machine Games' work on the Indiana Jones project as a definitive love letter to the Indiana Jones franchise and its fans. I mean, again, this is one of those things. Is it going to be third person? Is it going to be first person? Can you switch like Starfield? So this is what I'm going to pose to the chat. And by the way, we have over 700 people here, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for everyone tuning in. I want to go back to you, Hargeet, first. Because we know that cinema is a very important aspect of Todd Howard as a designer. Again, I don't want to say it's safe to say. I want to say that if he's trying to tell this cinematic experience, something that we see more often than not, especially when it comes to Sony's games. Sony's games, whether you like them or you don't, are these cinematic experiences. They're bombastic, they're gorgeous to look at, and there's a lot going on the screen in front of you. I'm hoping, and this is just me, that we get a third person Indiana Jones that has these environments that are, when they say globe trouting, right? They're going all over the world. You're going to have snowy Alps. You're going to have dense jungles. You might have a desert. You might have underwater exploration. We don't know where they're going to go, but they said it's going to be all over the world. So I would imagine there's going to be different biomes. What is your ideal Indiana Jones game, Hargeet?
I guess I'm okay with either way. It's fine if it's first or third.
Okay.
But I guess given the kind of thing it is, you probably want third person. But I'd be okay with first person. It's fine. My assumption is it's going to be much in that vein of Tomb Raider and Uncharted, right? It's going to be in that kind of gameplay mode, but it's going to tell a story. And to your point, that's the big question mark here. Is this going to be a very like action-driven game with basically it just keeps going and going, or is it going to be cinematic and it's going to have sort of cutscene, play a bit, cutscene type of thing, right? And it sort of lends itself to that. It is viable that could be it. Machine Games, however, did a very good job of just action-based gameplay, right? So we'll see where they take it. He said it was like the perfect fit for the game. So does that give us a hint as to what kind of gameplay he's looking for? Is it very, Wolfenstein-like? He mentioned that game too, right? As part of that Lex interview.
Yep.
So maybe that is kind of the vein of what it is. That one's first, right? So maybe it continues in that path. But, like Blade, it could very well be that they switch it.
Mm-hmm.
My fear is that if you're very accustomed to first person, switching to third, you have to be very careful of the angles to make sure if you're doing, gunplay or even, whip or whatever, that it actually fits right? So it could be they did work on that quite a bit, and that's why it took a long time, right? Because you want to get that core game loop right. It's got to feel right. And if they got that, perfect. If it's third person, cool. But because usually the Bethesda, third person is kind of meh. You're almost better off being in first. But some people like the third, right? But that is the thing. It has to kind of angle correctly so that you feel, like the gameplay is good. And that is not as, trivial to switch to. So I hope they have that right. If they've got it right, that's great. and that could have been one of the reasons it's just taking longer, is that they're trying to figure that piece out. So yeah, it could very well be third person. I think that it has a tendency towards that. It should be kind of in that vein.
It makes sense if they're going to be trying to tell a cinematic experience, right? Obviously, when you say Indiana Jones, I mean, I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, but I played it. There's a game on the OG Xbox. There's a Super Nintendo game that was made by the same people that did Super Star Wars. Folks, I get all of it. There was games on PC, but we're talking using the power of the Xbox Series X and what you can get on PC. Could you imagine what the game's gonna look like with a 4090? I could only imagine what it's gonna look like. I would imagine, Hargy, that at least if you're trying to tell this movie-like story,
exactly, and that's third person.
That's got to be third person, sure,
right? Because you want to have the flip between the two kind of be very seamless, where you're in a cutscene and then suddenly you're playing, just like with Forza when they showed Forza Horizon 5, and you have this pan and you're suddenly driving. And you're like, wait, that's the game? Holy crap, that's the game, right? That's what you want to have, right? It's seamless. It just flows right in. And then you're playing again, and then it seamlessly switches, right? So you have like you're always watching the character do its thing. So it'd be nice if they could keep go third person. Again, I'm okay with first. It's fine if it goes first, but if that's what they've been doing, if you want to really tell that cinematic story, it kind of just lends itself to that third person thing, and that would also mean that you have. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Indiana Jones is a big show where you go to the theater, you see it on a big giant widescreen. These past generations, there hasn't been an Indiana Jones, but this is Indiana Jones is coming out where we have widescreen TVs now. We have widescreen monitors. Could you imagine them putting you into that world of Indiana Jones as a third person and as a first person with your choice, with variations in the cave going to the third person view automatically? But you can, when you're out of the cave, you can switch to single player view for those close encounters, first person view for those close encounters. Now that would be the perfect scenario. And with as good as those graphics looked, and it running on the Xbox Series X and even S, I'm sure it can handle it with just a little dumb down. You know how that works. And with Steam, with their graphics, where you can adjust their graphics even more for people buying it there, this game is going to be huge. And Tomb Raider probably won't come out till next year. So that's your next level. There's no Uncharted. The only thing close to the Tomb Raider coming out is going to be that style again.
We don't even know if that's 2025, right? So
I know.
Right?
So Indiana Jones will give people that fix that they've been looking for since Uncharted and Tomb Raider.
Well, if it's done right, it's going to showcase what those games should have been, right? Because Indiana Jones predates all that, but like you said, also there was Pitfall, but here's the thing: I don't know what the budget is, right? So it could have been, hey, we will make a game that's mostly action based with small cutscenes because that's what Bethesda could afford. But now they're Microsoft. Did Microsoft go back and say no? Go, just like with Double Fine, here's more money.
Yes,
I want it to be big budget. I want those cutscenes. I want the big action, set pieces.
Yes.
Like go do it. Like go make it into that, hashtag just one. Go do that.
Right? Think about this, right? Microsoft might have gave that studio so much money to show Disney, look, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And if the game comes out top rate, AAA, Disney will start giving Microsoft some more of their IP.
Right.
And the more Disney IP they get, the more let stay over. They done messed up Spider-Man. Let it be.
But spent money on it, right? They put a lot of money in it. There's a lot of set pieces. There's a lot of cinematics, right? Is that the the direction here, or is it going to be mostly action, right? And that's a big question.
I want it to be mostly action. A little bit of that story mode.
We'll come to you in a second. We're going to get your hot take on what you want.
I think it would be better if it. No, that's all right. I think it would be better if it did the cinematics. I think this is a very good opportunity for Microsoft to showcase a high quality, high budget cinematic game based on an IP that we already know about, right? So
Yes.
there's a whole universe that already exists. This is a really good chance to do that, right? So it's up to Microsoft if they spent the money. I hope they did. It's 3 years now, right, that they've had this game under their development.
Yes.
So it's very, it's up to Microsoft to say, just like with Double Fine, take the extra time. We want to see something high quality with a lot of cinematics, a lot of set pieces, right? Just like with Spider-Man, that you have action scenes, you're playing a little bit, but then it like switches to cinematic and it comes back, and like, why not, right? Let's see Microsoft cook with that kind of thing. You have a studio that can do it, and you have a game that like it lends itself to that, right?
I agree.
They've had so many of those set pieces in Indiana Jones movies, right? It's a recipe waiting to be used. So you've got Todd Howard coming up with the story, and you got the potential here with unlimited cash. Go ahead, make it happen, right? I hope they did that. I really do hope they went ahead.
I agree.
Pushed it to the limits. Not every game has to be like this, but you have to have some showpiece that says, we can do this too. We can do the Spider-Man thing. We can do the God of War thing.
You're referring to the hashtag just one.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Just show, and you have it right here. This is a very good option. Plus, it proves to Disney, we can do this stuff, right? We have the studios. We can do this stuff. So, we can do future partnerships, and it'll benefit both of us, right? So I think that this would be an awesome way to go. I understand, it's X-Men, you want to go the opposite. It's just action. Fair enough. But I think this is the game where I would like them to actually go crazy and make it as action cinematic as they can. But we'll see what they do with it, right? But I would love to see that. I would love to make this the hashtag just one. Just go crazy.
I mean, I saw some people in the chat talking about, hey, please, no QTEs, the quick time events.
I'm with you on that. But it doesn't mean that you can't have good cinematic set pieces, right?
Right. That I absolutely.
I mean, just think of the beginning of Temple of Doom. Not Temple of Doom. Sorry, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
What's happening? He pulls this thing and switcheroo, and suddenly there's this big ball rolling. You have to run away, right? That's a set piece, right?
Yeah,
they could do something cool with that, right? And you could have cinematic plus action plus cinematic, right? And they could just do those kind of. I hope they do that kind of thing, right? So. That's what I'm talking about. Not just, I jump on a ledge and I go over here and then I whip over and I jump over a ledge and like that cool, but I want to see those set pieces. It lends itself to it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Obviously when I think of like, when you look at Tomb Raider and you look at Uncharted, for me, if you're talking set pieces, and those games have had a lot of really big ones. The one that jumps off for me, and I said this before, and I think people know this, Uncharted 2 is my favorite PS3 game of all time. Now, granted, there are other ones in there that are really close, like Resistance: Fall of Man. Absolutely loved it. MotorStorm, one of my favorite racers of all time. Phenomenal games on the PlayStation 3. But the opening scenario where you're hanging off the plane, when you first open up into Uncharted 2 and you got a shimmy and you start walking through the snow and you're hearing the crunching, but then you're like, I'm leaving footprints. I can't believe this. And it was this incredible opening. And also, going to openings, the second Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, one of my favorite in the series. That part where you're on the mountain and everything is kind of going to shit, and you kind of, you're being blown by the wind, you get knocked down, she gets turned around on the ice, and she bangs, she gets concussed. Those are the kind of experience I'm hoping comes to this. And like I said, I think that if you know anything about Todd Howard, obviously he's a fan of the series. He would be, I would say, the ultimate fan of the series. He was going to want to see this the same way he felt when he's watching the film, which is why I think it's going to be third. I mean, I could be 1,000% wrong, but if you're going to do a cinematic presentation, that's how you go. Let's bring in Sir X-Men. Sir X-Men, obviously you had a chance to throw, drop some of your bars, but I really want you to sink your teeth into this. What for you is the ideal Indiana Jones experience?
Discovery,
Okay,
figuring out
that's fair.
puzzles that leave you do like in a Tomb Raider. You're like, okay, where do I go now? And then you come back like an hour or two later after getting frustrated and look like it was right there. How stupid am I? You know, those are the experiences I'm looking for where you figure it out. And which is pretty much the theory of Indiana Jones, which is the theory from every other game so forth and after. You know, that's what I'm looking for. I don't mind the cinematics. That doesn't bother me. It builds the story up and gives you a reason to continue and play and get you to the end because there's mystery involved in going through the trials and tribulations within the game that you're going through. I played every Tomb Raider ever made, and I played Uncharted 1 and 2. And both those games are good. 2 is better. You're right, Boom. 2 was better. But those are the experiences I'm looking for. Bring me something along those lines. If you can hit it and hit it right and on par, you got yourself your own franchise that you will have for the duration of your console life, just like they got Spider-Man over there. That's what I'm looking for them to build on that. Give them something to want to come to your console. You know, don't spread it out. I understand the relationship between you and Steam. That's fine. But I want to see this game on a widescreen now, the way Indiana Jones should be, the way Tomb Raider was, where you felt immersed because it was third person. The way Uncharted is because it's third person. So bring that experience to that game. If you bring it and you nail it and you make people confused about puzzles, not the way they do it in Hellblade, but
yeah, well, Hellblade 1, you got to remember, was done by 16 people, and
I know.
obviously,
it's a big studio now.
yeah, well, they have addressed the whole puzzles thing because it was like a big thing that they make mention of. But you're right. You can't have confusing puzzles. I don't think you will.
Right.
I think they're going to be very Indiana Jones-esque.
Yeah, it's all right to have some puzzles, but don't make them super hard where it takes you like 3 weeks to figure it out. You know, make it something where it has a level of difficulty, but it's not too much where people can't get through the game. And
I mean, that makes sense, right? That makes sense.
And don't forget to put some perks in there where if you find something that was a secret in the game, you know, it either helps you out or, give you an achievement for it. Make it worth finding. Make it worth exploring. You know, Indiana Jones is all about exploring, finding things that lead to other things. You could lead to something that's part of another sequel, and the next sequel that you don't know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for in the next Indiana Jones.
Listen, it sounds great. If the game that you want is out there and they release that, that sounds like a dope game that I would want to play. I think puzzles are going to be a big deal. I think, to Argeet's point, set pieces are going to be a big deal. I think, and again, I don't know because, well, none of us know. We'll know
Nobody knows, right?
They could have seen, Todd Howard could have seen what Naughty Dog did with some of their big set pieces and said, yeah, I kind of think that if we could frame that and just incorporate Indiana Jones, that would actually make a good set piece, the way that they've done it, because there is a lot to go on. There have been 4 Uncharteds. There's been an amazing DLC. Obviously, there's been a ridiculous amount of Tomb Raiders, but the last 3 are I think the definitive, de facto of the series, because it was rebooted, and obviously, again, remember, you got that new trilogy coming out soon that was
I got it preloaded, downloaded, and paid for, dude. I'm ready.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us.
One niche on that real quick. The Indiana Jones game, I think it's going to be a star.
Oh yes, there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
And people that sleep on this, this time, if you want to pay for it, pay for it. support them. And you also got Crystal Dynamics also helping Xbox with some of their other people that we don't know. So they probably could have helped them in the background, helped them discover a story, help them how to get things like that, like the searching and those innovations within that type of game, because that type of game is in a Tomb Raider genre. So Crystal Dynamics helping secretly, that could be a thing that we won't find out till later.
As far as we know, it's only Machine Games and Todd Howard, right? We know if anyone has stepped in, but we will I obviously learn. And like I said, Crystal Dynamics, even though they don't own them, well, not yet anyway. They
do help Xbox a lot.
They are currently working on Perfect Dark. So I mean, who's to say that they couldn't have brought someone over? But Asante, what is your favorite? I mean, what's your favorite idea of what an Indiana Jones game is for you?
Honestly, it's super interesting, right? That we have Indiana Jones pop up now, and now we're gonna see, what they do. Machine Games does with it, because you would think, what do they call it? Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. Like everyone took inspiration from it, but it never had a AAA successful game. And now it must take inspiration from all the ones that took inspiration from it in the first place in order to make its own game. Like, it just boggles the mind, I honestly, believe it or not, I want them to look at all of those games, pay attention, because obviously between all the variations of Tomb Raider and all the variations of Uncharted, it's like, it's like the iPhone, the candy bar phone. There used to be a billion kinds of phones, and then eventually everybody came candy bar because that was just the way it's done, right? So there are certain aspects of this game that need to be tried and true. I agree, third party being one of them, right? But I mean, third person being one of them. But what I will say, though, is we are so used to this formula because everyone has followed this formula tried and true, right? I don't want a Gears 5 where they just kind of put more characters in this same formula and just say, here you go. Like, it would be good that this being the source material of all those other franchises, that it comes with something unique and new that we've never seen in this franchise, right? It's great that it's well established now, and it's great that Tomb Raider has had many times to iterate and come up with a really cool formula that when you want that cinematic third person #just1, this is what you're looking for, right? You can close your eyes and list on your hands what it should have, because every one of them has that, right? One does it in one more bombastic way than the other, which is cool, right? And if this ends up being Indiana Jones a la Naughty Dog, I will be there for it, because I love all of the Uncharted games. Let me be clear. I think the Uncharted games are perfect. I love 2. I love 3. I really, really do love the Indiana Jones game, the Uncharted games. So if they just followed along with the formula, hey, what are you going to do? They figured it out. We're just going to follow suit. But I, somewhere deep in me, with the God Howard, wanting to make this game for so long and blah blah blah, I don't foresee him following a formula. You know what I mean? And he knows all the games that have preceded before this one releases, right? And he knows that they are all the source material. This is the source material for all those games. So I really foresee him doing something, going, you know what? This is the thing that none of them ever added, and I'm going to add it to complete that picture. I feel like if they find that thing, it will complete the picture, and it will reign supreme as the definitive, genre, the genre defining game of its kind, right? Because all of them have come before it, but all of them have borrowed from it in movie form and in ideas and all that, because it created that idea, right? I just hope they don't come and go, hey, we're fans too, we're just going to be creating our own version of the same old thing. I want them to give me something I didn't know I needed in this space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, again, it's one of those things like Machine Games. What are they known for?
Yes.
Wolfenstein. right? First person Nazi slaying.
Well, hold on
bloody.
now. They are known for Wolfenstein, but they are known for taking a ridiculous IP about killing Nazis, making the graphics insane, and making you actually care about the characters that are doing it in between killing them Nazis, right?
Yes.
They're
Yeah,
really
100%.
unique at that. You know what I mean? So it's good to see what they do here. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be. I put it this way: regardless of which way it goes, whether it's first person, third person, or a combination of both, I think it's going to be a cinematic experience. I think it's going to be a showpiece.
I hope so.
Like I said, we can all hope and pray that they're going to deliver. Look, it's Todd Howard. It's like I said, if you know Todd Howard and you know his affinity for Indiana Jones, this is something he has wanted to do for a very, very long time. He pitched a game in 2009. Now, is it the same game? I don't know. I'm sure we're going to hear from him next Thursday. I'm sure he's going to be a part of the conversation.
One thing I want to add, just one last thing.
Sure.
Right. I'm saying I want them to add something unique that no one's ever seen before, right? And people might think, everyone says that, but how can they do that? If you've played Starfield enough, you know they've added some stuff that no one's ever seen before in any game ever. Like, holy crap. I want that same energy in this game. Something that everyone knows that has happened a million times. New Game Plus. But then add some magic to it that make you go, huh, why has no one ever done that before?
So, Asante, now the flip question, something extremely familiar. Will this be Harrison Ford or not?
Interesting.
Oh, I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. I hope it's not.
Now,
Harrison
hold on
Ford.
a second. I want you. You know what? Please elaborate on that because I'm watching the socials today, and people are like, "Well, if it doesn't have Indy, it's a miss." Like Harrison. If it doesn't have Harrison, it's a miss. Now, because what I saw, the talk of the town, folks, is people were afraid that this was going to get the Avengers treatment.
Okay.
Right. Now the Avengers treatment,
everyone the half in, half out, almost pop. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? So people got some concerns here. Yeah. Who's voicing him, right?
So okay, I don't care who's voicing him as long as it's not Harrison Ford. Why? Let me tell you why.
Okay, yeah,
because
please.
He made 3 amazing films and then proceeded to kill his own legacy. And if he can kill his own legacy on film, what will he do in a video game?
You think Harrison Ford did that?
Yes, he did.
You don't think Spielberg and Lucas did that?
Sure. If you've seen him in this
Ford
film,
write the script?
No, he didn't. But what I will say is when you get to a certain age or you get to a certain capability and you can't produce the magic you used to produce before and they need you, it is in your purview to say, no, sir.
He's not on screen.
But he's phoned it in enough times where I'm just like, even on Star Wars, he's phoned it enough times where I'm just like, he's just a phone-in master at this point.
He hates Star Wars.
I hope I'm wrong. Seriously, I hope I'm wrong.
You got to think about this. This is one of his adventures within his lifespan. That's where they're setting this game at. They're not setting it.
Yeah, but we don't know if it's a young Indy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
When I seen the clips, it was a younger Indy. It was around Indy's age.
But think about this. Think about it this way. There's no reason for even Microsoft to do that because you want someone cheap and young so you can use them over and over again if this becomes a big hit. There's no way Indy like Harrison Ford is taking chump change. And even if he is taking chump change, he's probably not doing a second or a third. You know what I'm saying? So it's in their best interest to find a good talent that starts young and pay them less so they can grow with them as they do. You know what I mean?
So you say that, however, this is a different world now that we're living in, right? Because essentially they could write a contract that says, all right, Harrison, we're going to pay you.
Here he goes. We're going to pay you and then we're going to digitize your voice, put it in AI and it's over. He ruined the conversation with AI. Here we go.
Right? As long as he's alive, you can go ahead and voice it. After that,
you could.
We get the rights to your voice to keep making it an AI.
Although right now, all AI you can tell is AI. Even when they modularize the voice, you can still tell it's AI. It's not quite there just yet.
They could always switch it if they don't like it, right? But they would have the right. So I think
that's a thought.
Indy's Harrison
that is
Ford.
A thought.
And so I think if they have the opportunity, they should get Harrison Ford. We'll see. We'll find out soon enough. But
we certainly will.
Wouldn't the price of his voice be the budget of the whole game? Possibly.
I doubt that. I mean, they've gotten some pretty high talent for games, man.
How many of this generation know what Indiana Jones really is either?
Exactly.
Come on. How many of them have seen it?
So you bring
the original Indiana
the target
Jones.
audience is us.
It's the great.
But we're not the priority focal point, though. But we're not the priority focal point.
Oh, come on, we are.
But hear me. Just the name Indiana Jones will get us to pay attention, right? If they get someone young and he does a good job, then they got your kids and the younger ones too. If they get old graybeard Harrison Ford, we're going to be excited. But if he phones it in, we'll still be fine. The young ones will be like, get me out of here. And it was a waste of effort.
Well, I mean, you can play Indiana Jones in Fortnite.
Yes,
and
you
a lot
can.
of these
Is it Harrison Ford's voice?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, but I think, do any of the characters really have voices?
No, they don't have voices. No, they
don't.
Look, I don't know. Well, Boom, what do you think? Do you want Harrison or you not?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Of course he does. He's a gray beard like the rest of us.
I'm an old man, so from a nostalgic point of view, I would love Harrison, but I also want to know where in his timeline this falls, because here's the problem. Harrison is in his 80s, folks, and he has a very
an AI generation. They can make it sound like he's younger. You just saying.
You absolutely could. And if they do that, maybe that's a conversation to be had, because you don't want, and again, this is just me. I don't think we want an 86-year-old voiced Harrison in the depicted character in Indiana Jones that's 29. Like, it wouldn't fit. Like, I understand we will appreciate it because it's Harrison Ford. That's our Indiana Jones. But I'm just saying that if we're going for the full-on cinematic, we want this to be like a movie-like experience. The voice and the tenacity behind the voice has to match.
Though, if they got actually Harrison Ford's voice, like the actual Harrison Ford to do it, they could modulate his voice like age-wise back. That would not be the problem. Now, where I have a concern is getting him. How many games are you going to get him for? And this is not a movie role where you have a finite amount of speech. This is a lot more than a movie role. Like, is he there for all the and the hours of audio footage that would be needed?
I mean, this is where the AI comes in, but
it's his job. Right? I don't think it's that big. Like, it's way better than having to act. And he just did an Indiana Jones movie. Got hurt doing it, right?
Yes,
you know these audio studios can bring his voice back to sound with his original voice back to where he sounded.
Technically, they can do it without him. They can technically do it without him right now.
They can do the adjustments so his voice sounds like the younger voice. It's just modulation, getting some of the crispiness out. It's not hard. These studios do it all the time. They've been around. They've been doing that since the 80s. Come on,
we're gonna find out very soon. But listen, real quick, before Case Sante, any last words on this particular subject?
No, I think that's that. I appreciate the game. I think the game will be amazing. This is Machine Games we're talking about. I have been a Machine Games fan since before there were Machine Games, and they made Butcher Bay.
There you go.
Back then, that's what I was a fan of there. So whatever they make now, I am super excited. Let's see what they have to do on the 18th.
Are we going to talk about the other big game, Avowed? Hellblade we've seen.
I mean, no, I mean, we definitely get into that in a second. Let me just catch up on the Super Chats, and we'll bring up Avowed because this is interesting. Avowed is interesting because it's Obsidian. Obsidian's talent is ridiculous. We know that Avowed is being It's going to be in the Pillars of Eternity universe.
Mhm.
Obviously, it is going to. It looks a lot like an Elder Scrolls type of game. For me, that's amazing. For others, that might not be. Um, I happen to think the Outer Worlds looked amazing. A lot of people were like, "Well, it's okay, but it's very cartoony." And then when they first showed Avowed off, people were like, "Oh, I don't know." I think you have to that's where I get a bit annoyed. Uh, Obsidian does not have to make a Bethesda game, and Bethesda does not have to make an Obsidian game. Let them cook, let them do their own things. I think Avowed is going to be a big, big game. Real quick, Stuffed Sean, who's been a channel member for 5 months, says it's 12:30 a.m. here in Ireland, and I'm tired. Just finished playing Figment. He says, go play it. It's an Xbox Game Pass. Shout out to your amazing community. Hashtag Bills Mafia. I'm sorry, brother. You're just not the same Bills. Pittsburgh goes to the Bills and beats them 21-17 is what I'm calling. That's the score. Sorry, Bills Mafia. Time to pack it up. Pittsburgh in the house. Scott Gamerdo, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Boom, not into RTS games, but what is your pick, please? Okay, so I have 2 RTS games that are my favorite of all time. They're not modern, they're very old. One of which, you've heard me say this before, Aliens versus Predator on the OG Xbox. It is freaking amazing because you get to use Predators, aliens, and Marines all in separate campaigns. It was dope AF. And the other one that came out during the Xbox 360 era, which was the Lord of the Rings one. I actually really, because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. Mrs. Boom and I love it. We've seen each film probably 100 times, including The Hobbit. And The Hobbit's actually my favorite of the series, believe it or not. And I loved that Lord of the Rings RTS. It was a lot of fun. I played hours and hours of it. Highlander
Halo Wars, definitely
Halo Wars was good. Yeah, Halo Wars was good. I didn't play through Halo Wars 2 as much as I probably should have. I probably should get back to that. I really should. I played Halo Wars 1 and I beat it. I didn't beat Halo Wars 2, believe it or not. Highlander 001, generous friend of the program, says this after dropping a $5 super chat. And he says, a PlayStation content creator on Sunday said they will stream the Xbox showcase to see what games are coming to PlayStation at some point. Not cool. That's someone chasing clicks, man. I wouldn't pay them. There. Yeah, I wouldn't pay them any attention, Highlander. I just think that's if that's your shtick, man. I don't know. So look, we got about 32 minutes left of the show. I do want to talk Avowed because I think that there is okay, so you take the 4 games, Hargeet, that were shown, right? And we know they're going to be there in a big way. Aria has a massive audience. That game people got very excited for. Hellblade, well, it's Ninja Theory. They've been working on it even before they were announced that they were acquired in 2018. That's a fact. And they have done some crazy cinematic stuff in this game. You're going to get the cinematics. You're going to get the set pieces. But that combat was brutal AF. Right? It looked amazing. And of course, we're all talking about Indiana Jones because we don't know anything about it. It's Indiana Jones. It's coming out in 2024. What the F, right? And then it's little Avowed. Nothing little about Avowed. Let me read to you the press release from XboxWire.com regarding Avowed. And I want to talk about this game because I think that this is an opportunity to introduce non-Pillars of Eternity players, which is me. Like, I don't play those games. They're very like Baldur's Gate 3-esque. It's kind of not my bag, right? But it's a big universe. You know, there's a lot of stories to tell there. I'm very interested because I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan, but I'm also a big Obsidian fan. And to get a chance to learn about the Pillars universe in this big bombastic first-person game that's going to have magic, that's going to have sword play, that's going to have shields, going to have dragons and undead. I'm through the roof excited. This is what it had to say, Hargeet. Avowed. The team at Obsidian will share its first deep dive into the gameplay experience fans can expect in Avowed, their upcoming fantasy action RPG set in the fantastical, vibrant living lands. Learn more about how Obsidian's expertise in building worlds with deep themes, dynamic gameplay, and thoughtful reactivity come to life in Avowed, where players will have agency to make choices to shape every step of their adventure. And that's very Dungeons and Dragons ish. If you make a decision and it changes your entire game. How excited are you for Avowed? Because a lot of people, and I'm not one of them, I saw the trailer that happened in June and I was like, wow, yes, please. Some people were like, the graphics don't look as lifelike as I wanted. I don't get it with gamers sometimes. I think a lot of us are spoiled. What are your expectations for Avowed?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an Obsidian game, and I think we just need to preface it that way. Like, this is not going to be a stunner knockout looking game. Like, but I don't expect that. Now, to be fair, they set an expectation with that trailer that looked
that's fair,
ridiculous, right? It looked total lifelike stuff. That's fine, but teaser trailers are always like that. They're ridiculous. So, if you've played other Obsidian games, you kind of get an idea of what they're trying to do there. Story wise, I'm expecting it to be fun. There'll be some humor and some serious moments, right? That's how they kind of do their things. So we'll see how that goes. So I don't know. I'm hoping it'll be an equivalent to I don't know if people have played any of the Pillars games at all, but the story is pretty serious, so it should be like that. I would assume it's kind of in that vein. But what we saw was bright, right? So I think that kind of accentuates sort of like maybe a more colorful world, right? But there will be like the subject matter will be dark. So you just kind of have to assume that's kind of what they're doing with it. I'm assuming that's where it's going to be. So that's kind of what I'm expecting for it. I don't know if it's going to be dice roll and all that stuff, because I don't think the others were like that. But it's going to be normal RPG type stuff. And hopefully it shows well. But again, if people are expecting Hellblade level graphics, don't. Just don't expect that. It's not going to be that.
You know what? Just for context, Hargeet, before obviously we're gonna get Chaos Hunter, we're gonna get Sir X-Men here. I want to pause the footage because I'm gonna do a screen share. I actually have it, the trailer from June. I want to put it up on the screen because again, I'm all about context, right? And I kind of want to let the music play and get everyone get your hot take, because this is obviously what was shown. Let me just do the full screen and press play, and this is the trailer.
Got the audio coming through. There you go. No, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can see like kind of, it's good, right? It's just not.
It's not Hellblade, but I don't think it has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
People don't like you very much, do they?
Still pretty good overall, right?
Sent here to the living lands.
A little colorful.
Couldn't bother
Yeah.
to come himself. To investigate some plague that seems to be corrupting our very souls. You want us to trust you. But the
Certainly
truth
an
To be
upgrade.
fair,
on
Hargeet,
that.
To be
Yeah.
fair, Hargeet,
Scare us.
Hellblade isn't Hairblade. All they've shown us is amazing cinematics. We haven't played it yet. Nothing is like Hellblade. So, you know, this is great, I think.
The way you fight. The power you wield.
Yeah, and this is. If I remember right, the pillars were they turn
You're either
based?
here to save
I
us.
believe,
They were.
believe it is.
Yeah. So this is direct action, which is
or
also fun.
destroy us. But now that you have all this power, what are you gonna do with it?
I mean, thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I would expect from them. And if you saw the Outer Worlds trailer, right, the Outer Worlds 2, right, very cinematic, awesome. The game's not going to look like that, but hilarious,
Right.
right? And this is going to be a more serious tone, right? But it is Obsidian. They do some pretty good stuff on story, right? So, it hopefully will be a good adventure. That's the whole point, right? It's a good RPG. It'll have a good story. I don't know how long it'll be. They generally aren't like the several 100-hour thing. Hopefully it's like 50, 60
25,
hours.
30 hours.
Yeah.
Depending.
Yeah, so in that range, it's fine, which is fine. It's just, I don't think I need that much more from them. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of expecting here, and it's finally ready, right? This game has also been in the making for quite a while, right? They saw this game in development before they bought the studio.
Yes, that is
right.
a
So
confirmed fact. Yes,
that's 2018 when they bought them. So it's been a while, right? So yeah, hopefully it's going to be a good Elder Scrolls-esque type game, right? So a good fantasy game with good RPG elements, right? So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Again, Game Pass. We don't really have that much to lose here. You just play it. But it does look pretty good. I think it'll do pretty well for those who are looking for that Elder Scrolls itch before Elder Scrolls comes out, which will be a while from now. Like this is like the position Microsoft is in, where they can give you an RPG, a major big RPG, like every year, because they just have so many studios making them. But this looks like it'll be fun. Again, it's not going to be that graphical powerhouse, and I hope people realize that. I don't want people judging it based on it. One of the things I don't like is Sony makes all these sad dad walking simulators that look fantastic, and if you don't make something equivalent to that, the game sucks. It's like it doesn't have to be that graphically impressive. It just needs to be a good game, and I hope that people realize that, right? So we'll see. I think on the Xbox side, we're kind of used to that. This is it's good, but there's going to be that comparison stuff. So I hope that doesn't detract from it. But
then again, remember this was last June, right? That's what they've been polishing. We're going to get to see it next Thursday. It could have gotten a graphical boost.
It could have, but again, I don't need it. I'm happy with what they were showing.
Me too.
If you've played any of Pillars, and I played a little bit of Pillars, like the enemies look so much better. Like you have to look at where they were and where they are. It's night and day how much better it is. The fighting is so much better. So it is quite a bit of an upgrade, right? So, but people expect everything to be ridiculous these days. I'd just be happy if they just have that. That's fine by me. And just polish means like, hey, there's less bugs, less issues. Great. I'm good with that. If it looks even better, fantastic, right? If they added like ray trace lighting and all that, fantastic. And again, I can play it on a 4090 and have everything and see what it looks like.
All the bells
Great.
and whistles you want.
Yeah, exactly, right? So if that's all there, fantastic, right? But again, that's enough. My only hope is people don't want it to be something that it's not, right? Don't compare it to like the first original trailer you saw. Why doesn't it look like that? Well, because it's not going to. So just like that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen. I think it's going to be the game it should be, and it's going to be a fantasy adventure. I think it should be fun. I kind of like you, Boom. I find it a little more interesting to play this kind of view instead of that isometric view. It just
me too.
kind of like gets, and I just kind of get bored of those for some reason. So it is a much more compelling game for me. This one looks much more fun to me. So I'm hoping it'll be a good, 40, 50 hour adventure for me. So that's what I'm expecting for it. But we get, I guess, another 10-minute thing on this is 5. Well,
Yes.
How much? Okay, so
I think
we'll get a good amount
each game
on
is going to have 10 minutes of its own.
Awesome. So we'll get a good amount on this. So that'll be awesome. So yeah, I'm hoping we get to see a good amount of the actual gameplay, maybe some story elements, right, to give you an idea of what you're going to get into. So it should be fun to see what we get there. But yeah, like yet another big game, which is freaking awesome. And this is probably one of the games that's coming in the first half, I'm guessing, because there's so many other ones. They haven't brought those here. At least they're not telling us they're bringing those here. So then I guess Indy, is that also first half? Ara was going to be first half, so I think that one's coming pretty soon. And then Hellblade was also expected to be first half, right? So maybe that's like we've been hearing that May timeframe. That's probably
dude. That is, you consider Stalker 2 is going to be quarter.
Yeah.
You see, there's a lot coming for Xbox.
So I don't know if they have something in Jan or not. Maybe they do, but I guess they get that new whatever the Pokemon thing you're talking about. But
the PAL World,
right. But then like Feb, March, April, May, right? So if you think about those 4 months, these might be the 4 games, right? And January might be the Shadow Drop, right? So you can maybe like if Ninja Theory is May, April might be Avowed, and then Indy might be March or whatever, right? And Ara might be February, right? And then that's the beginning of your year, and then you still have 6 more months of crazy games to come, right? So, but yeah, so I like that's what I'm hoping Avowed will be is just it's gonna showcase that it's a good RPG, and they've switched it now to that first person view, which the isometric view does kind of like. For some people it's great, like and I don't know, I kind of get a little thrown off by it, but so I'm much more interested in I hope they go back to the other ones and like try to redo those in this kind of format. Just give it to somebody to go do that, right? The story's already there. So but yeah, that's what I hope it does really well for them as well. We'll find out, especially when it goes to PlayStation.
Oh yeah. messy. X-Men. What are your thoughts on the trailer, and what are your expectations for Avowed?
All right, to everyone in the chat, first thing I want to apologize because my PC ain't set back up right now, so I had to, jerry rig it so I can be here, hang out with Boom in the crowd. But it'll be back set up next week. But Avowed, bring it to me. I'm one of them people that care more about the gameplay than the graphics, and no bugs. That's more important to me than anything. If the game runs smooth and I don't get no glitch on a save or don't get no glitch on getting stuck in a wall or something like that, I'm fine with it. If I'm enjoying the gameplay and it keeps me involved in the game, those are the most important things to my, as you say it, the gray beard generation. If we get graphics on top of that, then it's a plus. But gameplay is always the most important thing of a game. Gameplay, story, and elements of involvement within the game and within the world of the game. You've had some games that didn't look great graphically, but people love them to death because of the gameplay and the involvement. And you got giants, and I got spells, and I got weapons that I can throw out of my hand. Bring it on. And like Boom said, and you got dragons. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you got dragons. You want me on dragons, and let me have the ability to fly one. That'll be even better. But that game looks like it has all the RPG elements of an Elder Scrolls, but blown up to a higher max level. And I don't think this is going to be a 30-hour game. They're not used to making games that are that short. Remember the last game they made? It was not short at all. They had distant lands where you can go to, villages, and all that. And I hope that game brings some of that innovation to the medieval time that the game is going to be set in. So I didn't think I was looking for it, but Boom showed me the trailer again, and I was like, yeah, I'll be into that. That's it.
Good
Short and
stuff.
sweet.
Again, you're absolutely right, because we are old. I mean, I love graphics. I wouldn't consider myself a graphic whore, if you will. I love graphics, but I also like gameplay. I like deep gameplay, and I think that's one thing Obsidian does really well. You want to say something, Argy?
Yeah, to your point, Straxman, the last 2 games that they did put out were Pentiment and Grounded. And in Grounded, I put in 194 hours. And Pentiment, I think, is a shorter one, only at like 20-something hours. But still,
how many hours did you put into Vampire Survivor?
Oh my God!
Yeah, hundreds. Yeah. I'm looking at it just for context. How long it would take for 100% completion in Outer Worlds? It was over 40 hours. So this could be. I mean, again, this is a bigger RPG. This is Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah.
There are going to be multiple biomes. There's going to be a big world. Outer Worlds was a little bit of a smaller experience, more linear, if you will. I mean, you could go a lot of places. There were only a subset of planets you could get to and locations on that planet. This, I mean, again, we'll learn very soon next week. Obviously, tomorrow's Thursday. We're 7 days removed from the show. We're gonna know more about it, but it is an action RPG. I would imagine it's going to be. I actually think it's one of those games, Hargeet and Keosante and Sir X-Men, that the more you put into it, the longer it's going to be. Because I'm not a guy that races to the end of a game. I'm playing Terminator. I'm 30, 40 hours into Terminator. You're like, what? Boom, that's ridiculous. Why? Because I search for everything. If you see the gameplay, I'm looking for everything. So I guess it's to each his own. Let's bring in Keosante. Keosante, okay, so you saw the trailer. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they have been doing a lot of polishing on this game. What are your expectations for Avowed?
So, unlike most, I like the second trailer better than the first. Okay. I didn't want we're doing Skyrim too, because they're your brothers. They sit at the same table at you now at the lunch table. No need to compete with the people you sit across from the table. Give us something different. Just like I liked their what do you call it? Obsidian's take on Fallout, right? It was a little different. It wasn't exactly a Fallout clone, if you will, right? So the second trailer, where there were differences and there was more vibrance in the images, it looked like a different sort of game. That excited me more. I wanted to see more about that. And actually, they spoke about that. About, hey, we didn't want to necessarily like, go and do a specific genre type game. We wanted to do what we are good at, harken on our story. And obviously, they're following Pillars. So I am excited to see what they do. On the point of how long it'll take, most of Pillars 2, for example, main story 42 hours. Main story plus side quest 63 hours. That's how much they average. So it's not going to be a small game. It definitely isn't going to be a small game. And Hargeet, on the topic, on the point of they saw this game before they purchased them. Yeah, they saw another game which led them to purchase the studio, and that was Clockwork Revolution. Right? So, like, I have a feeling that this game is far more than people think it's going to be, right? If you see a game, or if you have thoughts about a studio, right? You have thoughts about a studio, and then you see their output, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is ours. That's good, right? Starfield is one of those, and we already see what Starfield turned out to be.
Yep.
In a bubble. Forget the zeitgeist. It's a great game. Every game that they say they saw, and that was the camel that pulled the trigger for them purchasing, have turned out so far to be excellent. So This, to me, is right in line with that. I'm definitely looking forward to playing it. I was going to play it anyway, but obviously now, Microsoft backed seemingly more resources. It's what they're pushing their energy into, and of course they needed a Redfall as a cautionary tale, and now that is in the zeitgeist as well. So we expect quality and completion from them. So it is.
Yeah, the Redfall is a good learning tool.
Yeah.
Personally,
yes. You need one.
Yeah, I think that when you look at how visibly upset Phil was when he went on Kind of Funny, and you can tell how disappointed he was with this game. And there were changes. Now, granted, there was some managerial issues where not enough checking was happening. And I think that, yes, you're onto something. And I said this, and of course, I could be 1,000% wrong. Redfall will be the last time that ever happens. Like, I think that is the learning tool.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Well,
right?
I mean, we're hoping, sure. I mean, again, I'm putting up my stake in the ground, saying, yeah, it's never going to happen again because of how this game was looked upon. But again, it's just, it's it's not a foregone conclusion. It could happen again. Yeah. I doubt it, though.
And their internal ratings for Hellblade are in the 90s. That's what they're saying.
In the 90s, yeah.
Low 90s.
And
what was the internal ratings for Redfall?
By the way.
They were in the 80s, I think, right? 70s.
I hope they fired their internal team and hired new ones before
me too.
this other one.
Yeah.
Usually not internal. It's usually an external.
No. Usually it's an external hired, like a contracted team to come and do it. I'm saying after the Redfall thing where they thought A and they got B, hopefully they chose a different group. I'm just saying.
Or have more, right? So they get a better representation or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oddly enough, of all these games, Hellblade's the one I'm least looking forward to. Like, I'm sure it'll be good, but I don't know. Hellblade 1
it's a known commodity.
It was okay to me. I wasn't that enthralled with it. Like, the puzzles were okay. The fighting was meh. The story, look, I thought it was very interesting for them to go into that area, right, into the mental health issue. I thought that was a great thing to do, but ultimately, like, I had to like care about the game, and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
I hope again. It's in Game Pass. You're gonna play it.
I'm gonna play it anyway.
I think it's gonna be more action oriented than it was in its original. I think they're not gonna shy away from putting on the headphones again and again. If you did not play Hellblade 1 with the headphones on, you missed the entire game.
Yeah.
Honestly, you missed the entire game. Go back and play it, and your experience will be different. It really will. Let me catch up on these last two super chats, and then we will do outros, get everyone out of here. We had over 700 people here this evening, which is amazing. Tomorrow, don't forget, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, C Money and myself will be sitting down for the new episode of X Vlog Live, and of course, right back Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Breakfast with Boom. I'm literally writing those shows as we speak, and of course, we have to thank a couple of names I've never seen before, which is amazing. So if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And I'm going to butcher this name, Remd Deceiver. I think it is a Remd Deceiver. I believe that's how it's said. It's REMDESIVIR. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says the TGA Sega trailer with the gamers on the couch. I wonder if they were holding Xbox controllers. I believe those were Xbox controllers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. He goes, the offset stick placement and white light on the front make it appear to be Xbox thoughts. And our thoughts is that I'm almost positive, dude, that those were Xbox controllers.
Everborn Saga identified them, and he is the Sega stan of stans. I believe.
Yeah, he is. He puts all Sega stands.
They were Xbox controllers because I paused it on the screen and looked at both the controllers, and they both were Xbox controllers. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff, brother. So thank you for the clarification. And like I said, we know that they're working together on the quote unquote super games. I think that there's a chance that those are all in Xbox Game Pass, and again, this is my hot take on this. I think Sega has so many games in active development, and I think Xbox is a big part of it. Here's my hot take, folks. I think that they are on the cusp of announcing and building their own Sega channel, meaning like EA Play, like Ubisoft Plus. I think that they're going to have a channel for Sega games, new IP, and potentially old IP as well, that's going to be available in your select service, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch 2, or whatever, Nintendo Switch and Next, PC, and Xbox. Where I think the Xbox connection comes in, and again, this is no connections. I have, I'm just spitballing here, folks. I think that because of the partnership, you don't know if Microsoft is actually funding some of these games. We don't know that, right? We don't know the inside baseball of this. I can see a world where the new Sega channel service gets put into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and everywhere else it's a service that you pay for monthly, like you would your Ubisoft Plus and EA Play. That, again, it's just I'm me spitballing here. I think it is a match made in heaven, and obviously they are working together. How much?
I'd pay an extra $5 a month for that. I would. It's Sega.
I would pay $10 a month because it's Sega, and all these games are dope, and all these games are new. Real quick, we have Abdi drops a very generous $7 super chat and says Indiana Jones will be compared to Uncharted 4 by PlayStation 5 owners, and obviously that makes sense. It's going to be a direct comparison,
and they should, and the developers should know that, and they should, shoot their best shot. They should know that. Yes,
they absolutely should know that that's going to happen. They're going to be compared to Tomb Raider, of course, Lara Croft, and of course Nathan Drake, because that's what those games were made from the OG Indiana Jones. Real quick, Jonas the Dad drops a very generous $2 super chat. Jonas, welcome to the program. He says, awesome show as always. Hit that like button. Indeed. Folks, let's get everyone out of here, and we're going to do it on time, which is great. We're almost at the 9 o'clock hour. Sir X-Men, brother, please, where can people reach out to you on social media, and what else you got going on, sir?
Sir X-Man on Twitter, Sir X-Man on Xbox, and as soon as I get myself together, Sir X-Man back in these streets on these podcasts. That's about it, everyone. Be safe out there. Have a safe winter. Bundle up. And boom, I hope you get some snow.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I don't know. The East Coast over here sucks. I don't know what happens.
Well, I hope you get so much snow you got to break out some skis. That's how bad I want you to get it.
I want that kind of snow in my life. Absolutely, for sure. Hargeet, brother, listen, obviously you're not on social media, and actually good on you for that, because you're very much like Mrs. Boom. She has no social media fingerprint at all. She's on nothing, and she's anti-social media, as she likes to call it. Very much like yourself, sir. But you also, besides being on Xbox, besides being on Discord, you obviously represent Game On Daily with Asa and Gaz, and obviously they do a show every Saturday, which has exploded. Gaz continues to do what Gaz does, and he's been in these streets poking the bear, if you will.
Oh, yes.
Talk about Game On Daily, and more importantly, where could people find you that's not social media?
H Chani on Discord, H Chani on Xbox, and check out GameOnDaily.com and YouTube.com/GameOnDaily. I will actually be on Go Live this Saturday at 4 p.m. US Eastern Time. So check that out. And then I am now a co-host of Fonz's Game Talk Live.
So nice, dude. Congratulations on it. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so every Sunday at 6 p.m. US Eastern Time. Check that out on Fonz Gaming's channel.
Fonz a good dude, man.
I don't know what's going on with RDX and Dealer. We'll eventually figure out what the heck's happening there. And then, of course, right here, Primetime Gaming every Wednesday at 7 p.m. US Eastern Time. Come check us out again. Next week will be fun. We will have a developer direct, and PlayStation will get a whole bunch of games. I'm sorry.
Yes, absolutely. We're definitely gonna get into it for sure. Que Asante, sell the brand of the Gaming Circle podcast. Obviously, there is still a lot to talk about. The weeks we're only at Wednesday, and I would imagine that when we get to Saturday, you and Everborn Saga at least are going to cover that Sega news that Sega has moved some of its subsidiary away from the gaming aspect, their toys, their models.
They're leaning themselves out. They're leaning themselves out. I
And
wonder why, you know?
they're pretty themselves. It sounds like they're
going to the gym. They're doing the workouts. You know what I'm saying?
At some point, Boom, we need to have a podcast on this whole third party thing and what the positives are. Just saying.
You see, Hargeet. Well, first thing I said when everybody brought this was, look, I don't know if this is happening, but if it is, what are they getting for it? Let's hear that, because that means a lot. And these people that at the top of that organization aren't fools. They don't just give away anything. So let's see what they get for it. So we shall see. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Awesome show as usual. Thank you guys. Great panel members as always. You know, Mr. BoomStick, and of course, you know, put in the gray and gray beards, Mr. Sir X-Men. Thank you for being here, sir. Appreciate you being here. But no, for me, you can catch me, K Asante, TKO Asante, and all the places we communicate, including those ridiculous streets that I'm trying to avoid. We also have a Discord now, which I'm trying to grow, which is pretty cool, and people are joining in. I think I might put the information for the Discord in the chat so you guys can try and jump in there. We're trying to grow that community, you know. So when Elon starts going left, we have someplace else to go communicate that doesn't have to involve him, you know. So it's all good. But this weekend, myself and of course the aforementioned Mr. Everborn Saga, we will be back at it. We will be having a show on Saturday morning. Possibly some guests. We're talking to some developers in the background, doing some interesting things. So you might start seeing some interesting, cool guests. We want to start doing more developer interviews and things like that. So come check us out. We gave away a Xbox Series X on Christmas with Boom's help. We're giving away an Xbox Series S pretty soon. So that's another thing that we still actually need to get off the ground. We're working logistics with a few folks. It'll be a Series X with an X screen too, like attached, just the whole thing. So yes, come check us out. We do giveaways. We do slanderous Saturday mornings. We call ourselves G.I. Joe. We're right on the line, and we shoot lasers, not bullets. So come check us out. Appreciate y'all, and have a good
look who's skulking in the background, Mr. Septic Sauce himself, Gaz from Game On Daily. Gaz, what's going on, brother? We got to get you on the show at some point. Either I got to be on your show, you got to be on my show. We got to do both shows. We'll figure it out. Love with the work that you're doing, and obviously the scandal and the scandalous that's going on is just unbelievable. He's
don't forget your pillow guy. Don't forget your pillow guy. You got to show your pillow guy.
Yes, well, actually, I actually can't show the commercial. Yeah, I can't because I keep getting revenue sharing notifications because of the song. So right now, it's fine. I've been in contact with Sean LeBrie. He's literally redoing the music for me right now, and obviously in the coming days we'll be back to showing the commercial. But apparently, we have sold quite a few pillows under the Double Barrel Gaming umbrella because obviously I talked with Nadeem, who was out of Mumbai. And he was like, hey, Boom, did you know? And I'm like, I did not know. So thank you, folks, for buying the pillow and obviously using the code DBG15 at checkout because obviously that does help the channel. And yeah,
congratulations, Boom.
Thank you. I actually have my own pillow, one that they sent me. I gave that away, but the Iron Lords one is the one I used. That was gifted to me by King David. So that's the one that I use. And of course, folks, big shout out to all the super chats. All of the new channel members, thank you so much for that. That is very kind and very generous of everyone that continues to support the channel. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends.